I bet you clicked onto this video expecting a review of the first episode of Total Drama Island, right? Well, get debated. First of all, you've got to sit through a lengthy breakdown of the two radically different worlds of scripted and non-scripted television, what the pilot episodes of each needs to achieve, and where Total Drama fits in the world of TV. Or you could just skip to if you just want the review. Let's start by looking at scripted TV. For these shows, the pilot must do the following: hook the audience in, introduce the main character and make you care about them, establish setting, get the audience invested in what's going on, have an exciting climax, have conflict, and of course, be compelling. In order to see this in effect, let's take a look at the pilot episode of CBS drama The Mentalist and how it achieves all of this in just 5 minutes in its cold open. Now, the last time I uploaded this video, it got copyright claimed twice. Now, I have made a concerted effort to minimise the amount of time I show clips from this cold open, but it also meant that I have to re-record this, hence me looking very different, shaved haircut, for the segment of the video compared to the rest of the review. Now on to the cold open. We open with the chaos of a crime scene. The two main protagonists, Patrick Jane and Teresa Lisbon, weave past the reporters and the general public. Two key pieces to the current investigation are seen. Firstly, the coroner's van, followed by the missing poster on a tree. A child went missing and has now been found, dead. Immediately, the quality of policing is thrown into question.
Captain.
Agent Lisbon. Don't think we'll be needing you guys. We like the neighbor kid who found the body.
Did he confess?
Yeah, he's a real squirrel.
The neighbour kid is forcefully marched into the car, despite there being little evidence against him. Patrick Jane's look at him shows you all you need to know about this programme. Things are never as they seem. Then we have what is used frequently in all of crime shows, the exposition dump, courtesy of the father of the victim. Now, this isn't necessarily an issue, as it is done through an address to the reporters, but it's still essentially there just to tell the audience what has happened in as concise a way as possible. The purpose of the speech is twofold, however, as throughout it, Patrick notices the distress of the wife and how she is being restrained by her husband. He walks into their house, glances around, and there's a shot of his tag, Patrick Jane, consultant with the CBI. The two main characters have both been established in their roles in 1.5 minutes. Teresa Lisbon is an agent of the CBI, Patrick is just a consultant. Two very different worlds and approach to crime solving. He makes a sandwich and a pot of tea, kind of irrelevant except to show character detail, before then looking at a fridge covered in photos of the family. Due to how it lingers on a select few images, the audience are clued into his thinking. The father has some sort of power complex and likes to control both his wife and his daughter. The mystery begins to unravel. The wife comes in and Patrick introduces himself.
Hello, Mrs. Toller.
Who are you?
My name's Patrick Jane. I'm here to help you.
And, though brief, we get a look into his techniques as a mentalist.
It's nice and quiet in here, isn't it? Quiet, soothing, calm. Calm.
We also get a hint of his own tortured past here.
And I want you to know that I understand what you're feeling right now.
You have no idea. Believe me.
I do. I know.
He then rattles off what he's found out from looking at the family photos.
You really only pretend to like skiing, right? Pleased that your best friend recently gained some weight. You wish you'd been more adventurous when you were younger. You love India, but you've never been there. You have trouble sleeping?
We then get the old switcheroo. Patrick lists the qualities he sees in her husband. He starts off pleasant enough.
I see a warm, loving, generous man.
But is quick to point out his flaws.
A little vain, maybe. Selfish. Controlling.
But that's okay. Nobody's perfect. And then the killer line.
So why do you suspect him of murdering your daughter?
Though it's partly guided by the music, the entire tone of the scene shifts. The mother, through Patrick's prompting, opens up and reveals her suspicions, to which Patrick is a calm and gentle presence, listening to her as the police hadn't before.
They have been so strange with each other, and neither one would admit that anything was wrong, and I think that she tried to tell me once, and I didn't.
Did you ask him if you killed her?
What would he say?
Most wives can tell when their husbands are lying.
The husband then comes in, and Patrick doesn't hesitate to question him.
Did you kill your daughter? Did you kill your daughter?
No.
The mother's reaction is priceless. Another tone shift. Everyone in the room knows of his guilt, but he still refuses to budge. Then we get the climax of the scene. The mother comes back into the room, holding a gun, and shoots her husband 4 times. And a scene that began with Patrick offering tea ends with a murder, albeit the murder of an evil, infanticidal maniac. Jane's defense of this is perfect,
Honestly, it's not as bad as it looks.
displaying the black humour that pervades the show before a fade to black as the cold open ends. This is nigh on as perfect as the cold open can get. It's instantly gripping, with the protagonist that is charming and likeable, but with a tortured past. And through his actions we see how he approaches situations differently to standard police, and why he has been brought into the CBI. If you can watch this cold open in full, and honestly tell me you have no interest in watching any more of the show, well I just wouldn't believe you. It's fantastic. So what does all this have to do with total drama? Well, nothing. I just wasted 5 minutes of your life. And many more of mine spent writing, analysing, editing this for your viewing discomfort. Also, way to go me, starting a review of a show aimed at preteens with paedophiles and murder. Haha. Admittedly I am being a little harsh on myself, because there is a point to all of this. It serves as an example of how scripted shows tend to open in order to hook viewers in, and is a quite useful reference point when looking at how total drama decides to open. But before we do that, let's take a look at what non-scripted reality TV shows have to achieve in their first episode, and know that I am specifically referring to the subset of competition-based shows, but from this point forth we'll just refer to them as reality TV for the sake of brevity. Got that? Okay. These requirements are: create a compelling competition, introduce contestants and display their personalities, seeing how contestants react and interact with each other, the people's different tactics and approaches to the same problem, the stakes of the competition, I can't lift that any higher, and of the individual episode, but most importantly, drama. There we go, 5 main things really. Seeing just how far people can get pushed, and how they will treat others when it's a rat race through fleeting celebrity status. Compare that to the requirements of scripted TV, and there's a very clear dichotomy. With scripted TV, the general rule of thumb is show, don't tell, but reality TV is almost the exact opposite. There is no writer to enforce the 3-act or hero's journey structure, as it's a documentation of real people, their lives, their struggles, how they deal with others. Now whilst this sounds like the foundation for a good story, the key difference is in the power of the writer. For scripted shows, everything that isn't necessary is cut. You're never going to see a character go to the bathroom, unless there is something in that bathroom that will propel the plot forward or reveal character. Every conversation or scene should, in good writing, build towards the climax of the episode, tying any and all plot threads together. In theory, everything within an episode is necessary. You shouldn't feel like your time is wasted. Now this is going to sound a little harsh, but that's pretty much the antithesis of reality TV shows, which revel in the mundane. They take everything that makes a good scripted show, scrunch it up in the air, and throw it out the window, and have it land in a nice hedge. I think it's relevant here to look at the BBC's mission statement: to only hire non-white males, despite the fact that most of the people associated with the BBC are white males, and that they are the highest paid. Oh god, how embarrassing. It looks like I've mixed up the BBC's mission statement with what I was told by a BBC representative at the Careers and Jobs Fair for TV and film in January this year. Such is life, I suppose. Can't believe I just made that mistake again. I mean, I had the 2 files right next to each other. Oh well. Anyway, the BBC's real mission statement is to enrich people's lives with programmes and services that inform, educate and entertain. And a lot of the best TV shows satisfy all 3 of these criteria. But for the most part, reality TV does not, only falling into the category of entertaining, and even then, many fail at that. So why has reality TV become so popular in the 21st century? Well, smug git that I am, I believe I have the reasons. Number 1. There's something refreshing about seeing ordinary people acting true to themselves compared to traditional TV shows. Numero 2. It's an evolution of game shows. Members of the public have appeared on TV since Spelling Bee in 1938. It's a natural evolution. Numero 3. God, my fingers are so bad, by the way. To feel better about yourself. This particularly applies to the slew of reality TV shows that follow a family or particular group in their everyday life, and that though may have material wealth, aren't quite so wealthy in the heart or the brain. Numero 4. The deluge of reality TV shows have lowered TV standards as a whole, so people are generally more happy to accept and watch even bottom-of-the-barrel reality TV. This would explain the popularity of Love Island. It's Survivor, except instead of challenges, you get STDs. Woohoo! As an aside, my approach to Love Island is the same as my approach to Donald Trump. If I just ignore it and refuse to believe it exists, then maybe it will just go away. And reason number 5, because fundamentally we're stupid consumers and will watch anything to avoid the cold reality of, well, reality. Oh, Sharknado 1 to 4. You're the only one that understands my fetish of carnivorous fish trapped in tornadoes. You get me? So again, you may be asking, what the hell is the point of all this? Well, partly I wanted to deconstruct reality TV, but mostly I just wanted to sound like a smug git. I've used that twice now, quaha. No, but mostly I did actually want to outline the differences between traditional TV and reality TV. And now that I have, it's time to talk about Total Drama and where it fits into this. Finally! Total Drama is the first, and only to my knowledge, animated parody of a reality TV show. Stay back down together. That actually attempts to pass itself off as reality. Where Drawn Together parodied Big Brother, it never aimed for the, big word coming, verisimilitude that Total Drama did. Waha! Got it in one. And because it's an animated show following contestants that are entirely fictional entities, like with scripted TV, the power is given back to the writer, allowing for a preteen friendly deconstruction of reality TV, whilst providing a fresh take on the format with plenty of comedic possibilities. And how well does it accomplish its elevator pitch? Well, if the first episode is anything to go by, as I outlined earlier, the needs of pilot episodes for scripted and non-scripted TV are wildly different and numerous. The list. Some of these points, broadly speaking, cover each other, introducing the cast and introducing the main character, for example. But when the cast has 22 characters, and most of them are given the same amount of screen time in this first episode, there's no real clear main character. Now this is fine in reality TV, where part of the joy is picking out who you're going to root for, but implicit in that is the tenet that anything can happen, as the individuals competing are masters of their own destiny. Whereas in Total Drama, everything has been written already. Characters can only act in accordance to how the writers want them to act, and when the characters are all stereotypes, it only pigeonholes them more and makes bad writing and out-of-character moments all the more painful and noticeable. And trust me, as I do more and more of these reviews, we'll be seeing a lot of out-of-character moments. And boy are they painful. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's stick to one episode at a time. The majority of the first episode is dedicated to introducing the 22 campers that will be competing for the money. Before the titles roll, Chris rattles off the introduction, detailing the competition, the setting and the stakes, with a comedic spin that sets the tone for the entire show.
Here's the deal. 22 campers have signed up to spend 8 weeks right here at this crummy old summer camp. They'll compete in challenges against each other, then have to face the judgment of their fellow campers. In the end, only one will be left standing and will be rewarded with cheesy tabloid fame and a small fortune, which, let's face it, they'll probably blow in a week.
This opening is basically flawless, no other comments. Next up is the title sequence. Again, pretty much flawless. We had a nice display of every character, as well as get to see a lot of the island in this high energy, high action earworm. I would play it with sound, but I don't want to get a copyright strike on my 4th video. I do have one small issue with the opening, however. Mostly it displays the characters as what stereotype they fall into, as well as hinting at future plot points and conflicts. Heather and Lashana fighting on the bridge, Gwen and Trent close together by the campfire, etc, etc. But there's one scene that displays conflict between two characters that doesn't exist in the show. Tyler and Eva arm wrestling, with Eva winning. Yet in the whole season, I don't think they even so much as speak to each other, despite how awesome this setup could be. You have the brash and overconfident Tyler that thinks he's great at sports when he really sucks, versus the no-nonsense, tough as nails, yet humble about her strength Eva. This could have been a really great rivalry as the title sequence promised, but nope, never addressed or mentioned in show. Then we get to the cast reveal, and again, it's largely good. Yes, each character plays to type, but as much as I've been high and mighty about characters being rather pigeonholed, when it leads to moments like these...
Ezekiel, what's up, man?
You think I see a bird?
Ladies and gentlemen, Tyler!
Good. Is this where we're staying?
No, it's your mother's house, and we're throwing a party.
Cute. Nice piercings, Original. Do them yourself?
Yeah, you want one?
No thanks. Can I have my lip back, please? Thanks.
It's kind of forgivable. What isn't so forgivable, however, is the contrived and obvious way certain romances are set up here. Notably, Gwen and Trent's first meeting reaches Disney Channel original movie levels of awful. Because why develop meaningful relationships when loitering next to a girl while a disembodied hand plays guitar chords is apparently just as effective? However, I do have to give props to the way Howard first reacts to Lashana.
I've never seen a girl like you in real life before.
Excuse me?
You're real big. And loud.
I never pegged this for him being romantically interested in her at all, so that came as a really nice surprise later in the season. Which I've just ruined for everyone that hasn't watched the show. But honestly, who would be watching episode reviews for a series they haven't even watched? If they are that person, then it's kind of your fault. What did you expect? After the introductions, 45 seconds are dedicated to getting a promo shot for the show. And bearing in mind the episode is only 22 minutes, that's 45 seconds too long. We then get some nice character interaction between the various campers as Chris outlines living arrangements and then very slowly announces the teams.
Cody, Lindsay, Jeff, Bridget, Sadie, Izzy, Courtney.
I get that this is to clarify the names of the various characters to try and get the audience to remember them, but the way Christian Potenza lethargically pauses over every syllable does grate on me. Was he paid by the second? The confessional is then introduced, and it's here that scripted TV takes a brief moment to look at itself in the mirror, then shoot itself. This is all tell and no show, allowing the characters to break from the rest of what's going on, to share their innermost thoughts with their audience about the competition and other campers, or used for comedic effect. It's a carryover from the show Survivor, so it sort of had to be here, and whilst I think it works when they frame them as having occurred after whatever event they are talking about, there are certain confessionals that supposedly take place within a challenge, where a character teleports out of the challenge to the confessional, comments on how dangerous the challenge is, then teleports back to the challenge without anyone noticing. We'll get to those in time, but for this episode they're fine. Also, I do really like how Gwen gets the first confessional of the season, given she is the overall main protagonist of Drama Island. Follow this up with 2 confessional jokes that work.
I don't get it. Where's the camera guy?
Then one that really doesn't.
I have something very important to say.
Get used to fart humour. Owen's in this show a lot. The campers then find their accommodation. There's a good joke at Lindsay's expense that Cartoon Network censored to the point where the scene doesn't even make any sense.
I have to plug in my straightening iron.
There are some in the communal bathrooms, just across the way.
Communal bathrooms? But I'm not Catholic.
Not communion, communal.
It means we shower together. Idiot.
There are some in the communal bathrooms, just across the way.
Where's the spa? I'm confused.
Wow, that's a shocker.
It means we shower together. Idiot.
They then go to the canteen and meet the other supporting character of the show, Chef, who might just be the best character in the show. What? I didn't mean it, H-bomb, I'm sorry. Idiot. Well, that was weird. Anyway, Chef is amazing in pretty much every scene he's in, and his introduction as tough and terrifying ex-military is great.
You get a whole lot of shut the heck up!
Have a cow!
We even get the first instance of Noah and Owen joking together, something that leads to one of the greatest friendships in all of Total Drama. But to counterbalance that, we also get this scene with Lashana and Eva.
Yo, what's up, girl? Oh, it's gonna be like that, is it?
It goes nowhere and is never referenced or brought up again. That was a fun 10 seconds. Chris comes in and tells them that their first challenge will start soon, and we get a flash forward to the start of the next episode. The first expletive of the show.
Oh.
And an odd next time segment that never happens again in the history of Total Drama. And my god is it jarring, especially as its purpose is unclear. Is it to get us excited by the dangerous challenge? Because the flash forward already did this, and arguably did it better. Fading out on the top of the cliff after just seeing how big the drop is before the credits rolled would have been fantastic. Instead we just see scenes that basically contradict each other. Jeff's confessional is about how Owen will never make the dive.
I'm looking at this guy and thinking, there's no way he's gonna make it.
But we actually see him make the dive in the clip. If they'd ended it with Owen's line,
I'm going to die now. I'm going to totally die now.
And then a cut to the sharks, it would have been okay. Unnecessary bloating that is out of place, sure, but not completely redundant as it actually is. And that's episode 1. As you can probably tell, I'm rather mixed over it. On the one hand, not a lot happens beyond the meeting the characters, but on the other hand, the character introductions are, for the most part, very well executed. Each character is distinct from the others, barring Katie and Sadie, and has an enjoyable entrance where we get the first hints of their future conflicts and relationships, along with some humorous slapstick and jokes. With Chris's introduction at the start supporting this, it really nails the requirements of reality TV. But as far as the requirements of scripted TV go, well, it misses the mark on quite a number of these. After teams have been set up, the logical next step will be to start the challenge. Sure, they're pushing the 16-minute by this point, but cut the promo bit out and have Chris speak at the speed of a normal human, and you'd easily have 7 or 8 minutes of animations to work a challenge into. That's a good amount of time. But instead, the episode wanders rather aimlessly from this point, showing characters moving their bags in, acclimatizing to the environment, eating. It's not exactly gripping stuff. But much as I want to hate how much time is wasted on scenes that are largely irrelevant to the grand scheme of things, I just can't. Seeing the different areas of interest, the cabins, the canteen, the campfire elimination area, it really draws the viewer into the world and makes it feel more fleshed out and fully realised than the unfinished backgrounds would suggest. It's so hard finding reason to get angry when the humour and animation make every minute worthwhile. But at the same time, the episode does feel like a bit of a drag to get through, as there's no real climax or conclusion to it, other than a teaser for the next episode. And I know this makes you want to watch on, so ticks the be compelling and get the audience invested checklists, but it just feels a bit unsatisfying. What could easily have solved all of this is if they just run the first 2 episodes together as one big special. We had a 44-minute special at the end of Island bridging over to Action, and likewise we had a 44-minute special set a year after Action to lead into World Tour. So why couldn't Not So Happy Campers Part 1 and Not So Happy Campers Part 2 be fused together to make for one big season premiere? Was it just because networks were too scared to carve out an hour block for the premiere of a new show? Because that makes no sense when you look at the original air dates. Both Part 1 and Part 2 aired on the same day in Canada, where it was made. So clearly it was eminently possible, and more than likely that they were supposed to be one long episode. But instead of airing it sensibly like that in the rest of the world, for the US there was a 1 week gap between episode 1 and episode 2. 1 week! That's mad! What kid is going to have the patience to wait an entire week for the first challenge? And though I can't actually find the UK airing dates for individual episodes, I'm fairly certain it was 1 episode each evening after school, spread across 5 weeks, with an omnibus every weekend. And I would watch each new episode every evening despite my dad's complete lack of interest. And I would watch the omnibus again at the weekend just so I could have more Total Drama goodness in my life. I hesitate to say this next line, as it somewhat harms my self-worth that a television show can make me say this. But for those 5 weeks, it was the single most important thing in my life. Each school day was just a clock ticking down to my daily dose of Total Drama, and I went to sleep dreaming about which character might be the next to get eliminated, hoping against hope that it wouldn't be my favourite. But if I had to wait a whole week in between episodes, in particular between the first and second episode, I would likely have lost interest before the challenges even began. Seriously, this show started in June and ended in December. That's nuts! 6 months is way too long to have a reality show last. Actual Survivor only lasts 3 months. Expecting children and pre-teens to keep interest in a reality show with a specific viewing order over 6 months is absolutely crazy. Unless you were watching reruns on reruns, you wouldn't even be able to remember the first half of the season by the time it ended. It blows my mind that they decided to deliver total drama in the States and in Canada this way, after starting with that double bill. 2 episodes weekly could have been fine, spread across the summer break. Having it run for half a year is just bonkers. But enough about the baffling decisions made by networks about total drama. There's plenty there to cover its own video, trust me. Back to the review, which was pretty much over anyway, so closing thoughts. Total Drama is slightly more complex to write for than other cartoons in the way it is framed. This is not a slice of life cartoon, nor is it an animated adventure series. Rather, Total Drama is a reality TV show set in its own fictional universe. Everything we as the audience sees is also being broadcast in that universe. By just setting itself up this way, Total Drama diverges from the traditional story structure and takes more of a relaxed approach to storytelling. And there is no episode that typifies this unconventional approach more so than Not So Happy Campers Part 1. The episode meanders about, characters lacking any real agency and just simply moving from one setting to another without any real reason to do so other than to show the audience the island. The characters aren't particularly interesting either. Tangent time. When we looked at Patrick Jane in The Mentalist, there was a desire to know more about him, what happened in his life, how he became the man he is today. In Total Drama there is no such desire to know more about the characters, because there isn't anything more to the characters aside from their stereotype. What you see is what you get. But that isn't necessarily a bad thing. The characters that stand the test of time are the ones that you know everything about just from their design. SpongeBob, Scooby-Doo, Homer Simpson. You look at these characters and you know exactly what they're about. It's a similar case here. The character design is unforgettable. Major props to Todd Kaufman, who so brilliantly captures the essence of these stereotypes in such eye-catching and memorable designs. Their design is absolutely flawless. In contrast, though I love Simon Baker as Patrick Jane, put him in a lineup with other cocky white guy alternative detectives, and he just becomes lost. Now this isn't a slight against The Mentalist, as I personally think it is far better than these other shows, and it is a lot harder to make live action characters unique, but I know a whole lot more about Tyler just by looking at him than I know about Patrick Jane. Tangent over. So the episode is a meandering plot line with characters about as deep as a pizza romana that wastes time on unimportant segments and ends without a proper climax. I should hate this, but I just can't bring myself to dislike this episode. Yes, it has its flaws, but it more than makes up for those with witty dialogue, distinct animation, and a cynical edge. Help me! That is just plain fun to watch. I give Not So Happy Campers Part 1 an arbitrary 8 out of 10, and it is easily the best Total Drama episode I've reviewed so far. Because it's the only one. Other episode reviews shouldn't run on as long as this one has, but I really wanted to dissect the differing worlds of scripted TV and reality TV before starting on this series. I do plan to review every episode of Total Drama up to the end of the Redonkulous race, as well as make in-depth character analyses of all the campers, so I hope you'll stick around. Like, subscribe, comment, ring that bell, all that good stuff. You'd have to be an idiot not to. Meme time.
Aisha, you idiot! You're the
Idiot.
here.
Well, that's quite enough of that.